In this fourth lecture on Measure for Measure, I want to talk about justice. I'll take as my point of departure Isabella's cry, "Justice, justice, justice, justice." This cry occurs towards the end of the play, when Isabella confronts Angelo in the company of the Duke. Angelo, who had earlier told Isabella, "No one will believe you," tries to dismiss her as a nut. "My lord, her wits, I fear, are not firm. She has been a suitor to me for her brother, cut off by course of justice." "By course of justice?" Isabella says, incredulous. What a liar. Now, if you think about that cry, that incredulous cry, cut off by justice, Isabella has in mind a different conception of justice from the one that Angelo has in mind. Angelo is saying, well, Claudio, her brother, is to be executed as a consequence of law breaking. And Isabella is saying that decision, the process that led up to it, and the action of Angelo in executing that decision are unjust, unfair. I think that's the first thing to recognise about Measure for Measure and what it has to say about justice. But the second thing that we can ask about justice is, who are the just characters and unjust characters in this play? Well, clearly, Angelo is an unjust character. He is betraying his oaths of office in the way that he is bribing Isabella. But there's also a suggestion, a deeper suggestion, that Angelo is acting unfairly in punishing Claudio. Claudio, yes, he's a fornicator, but this is a relatively trivial act of fornication. It takes place in the context of de facto, a consensual relationship, almost a marriage, even if it isn't sanctified by the church. I think that there is a strong suggestion in the play that Claudio is being executed unfairly, regardless of the laws of Vienna. And more than that, I think it might be said that the reason why Angelo is an unjust person is that he fails to understand the characters, the human frailty of the people of Vienna. Think back to that exchange between the Duke and Aeschylus right at the start of the play, when the Duke says of Aeschylus, "The nature of our people, our city's institutions, and the terms for common justice, you're as pregnant in as art and practice hath enriched any that we remember." Right? Aeschylus understands the city, its institutions, the people, the character, and the terms of common justice. And I think Angelo understands none of those things. Angelo is a failure as a leader, as a governor. So if Angelo is unambiguously unjust in all manner of ways, what about some of the other characters? Isabella, for example. Well, I think Isabella suffers from some of the same failings as Angelo. She is unduly strict. She has no grasp of human frailty. And she too is a zealot, a Puritan zealot, who, right at the start of the play, almost her first words, is complaining that the rules governing the nunnery she's about to enter are insufficiently severe. This woman's a fanatic. What about the Duke? Now, some commentators think that the Duke might be interpreted as some godlike figure. He leaves the Vienna, comes back. He's all-knowing, he's all-powerful, and he presides over the events with a benevolent spirit, aiding the virtuous, punishing the wicked. The Duke is a god, a Christian god. I don't see that myself. I think that the Duke describes another model of misgovernment, misrule. He's a bad prince, albeit in a different way from Angelo. The final point to reflect upon is the extent to which justice is on trial in this play. Political philosophers sometimes like to think that justice is the be-all and end-all of a well-run society. Justice is the first virtue of social institutions, says our near contemporary John Rawls. I think Measure for Measure suggests that justice is insufficient, that justice can lead to cruelty, excess, and it must be supplemented by mercy, and that a well-run society is a mixture of justice and mercy.